stuck here. The cops won't bother me. First crash. All sports make really good commuters because of the commanding presence that you have on the road. You know, like you sit upright, there's no leaning in, and it's got such wide angle bars that you can maneuver the bike around in traffic very easily. And of course the mirrors, the way they're positioned, you can see very well behind you. They're also much more comfortable for long periods of time, and in the DC metro area there's a lot of sitting around in traffic. Much more comfortable to ride, I think, every day. A sport bike, I was wearing out tires every 5,000 miles, so it doesn't make a lot of financial sense. The Yamaha that I had for commuting was an R1, so it was overly powerful for what you needed. I think this is a much more balanced, and of course this was much cheaper. It gets very good gas mileage, I think 50 to 60 miles to the gallon. You can do about 240 miles per tank. You have a very good windscreen, so in the winter you can like flip it up, and it does block the wind pretty well. Not as good as a Goldwing or ST 1300 or something like that, but it blocks the wind fairly well. On a sport bike you're going to get hit with the wind a lot more, and in the winter time commuting you definitely need wind protection. That's one of the things that is going to make you feel a lot colder. If you don't have wind protection, you feel much colder. And also, one of these bikes, it's easier to go slow, because on a sport bike I'm constantly just trying to, you know, race. But also, a big sport bike runs very hot at bumper-to-bumper traffic, and if you get a Goldwing, for example, and you commute on it, that's a little bit overkill, because it's such a large, massive bike to you know, be in traffic with cars every day, and you have to go from lane to lane. That's why a 650 like this makes a perfect commuter. Even like an SV650, or let's see, what's like a Honda CBR 600 might even be good. But I prefer the dual sport style, like KTM Adventures and stuff like that. And of course, these bikes, you can just rack up tons of miles. There's a couple of guys I know that have 200,000 miles on their V-Strom 650. So these bikes generally tend to be very reliable. One of the problems I found is that if I picked a bike that was too small, like a scooter, and I racked up tons of miles, the engines ended up being a little bit weak. I had a Ninja 250 that I put 87,000 miles. And by 80,000 miles, the engine definitely didn't have a lot of power. You can put all sorts of accessories on here. For example, the heated grips are very easy to mount. And I just bungeed this in there, which is bad because the knob fell off. You can put like GPS's, radar detectors. And another thing that people don't realize about these bikes is that in the twisties, these bikes are probably faster than a sport bike, because the wide angle bars make it so much easier to toss around in a corner. I've always liked these bikes a little bit more than sport bikes. I do like the sport bike looks. I think they look great. But when you ride a lot, the plastic just gets in the way. Like, I hate to constantly have to remove plastic. And after my R1, I bought like a Speed Triple, which was a naked sport bike, and I love that much more than the R1 because the engine I thought was a little bit better for street riding. And then I was able to like just do maintenance a lot easier without having to remove fairings. On the R1 you could actually, you don't need to like remove a lot of fairings, and the Yamaha is extremely reliable. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. But when you're riding a sport bike every day to work, you're running through rear tires quite often, especially in my case, and especially with the speed triple. I mean, I love riding that speed triple. Like, you could do wheelies with just the throttle, like power wheelies. That was a really, really cool thing. And I rode that thing to like Florida, like all over the place. Well, thanks for riding with me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.